coming down to the incredible transformation of Microsoft over the last 6 years under Satya Nadella's leadership. To quote him, if you want to be cool, go work for someone else. But if you want your customers to be cool, come work for Microsoft.
What's up, Digital Culture Nation? In today's episode, I speak with Vanessa Sorenson, who's the Managing Director of Microsoft New Zealand. She's an amazing lady, and we have such a good chat around things like how she managed imposter syndrome, tech intensity, which is something they do at Microsoft to ensure that everyone gets to learn how about technology and how things work. We talk about diversity and inclusion and how she's really tried to push that through her organisation and some of the strategies that they've used to do that as well. And then also we talk about the New Zealand data centre, which is on its way. So don't miss this awesome conversation with Vanessa Sorenson. Well, hello, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm great, Hilary. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's amazing to have you on. I know we've been trying to put this together for a while. Just for the sake of our listeners, I was wondering if you could just give a little bit of a background around who you are, particularly on the road to becoming who you are today.
Yes, kia ora, Vanessa Sorenson. I've been with Microsoft for 4 years now. I fell into tech as a 17-year-old, which I'm so grateful and fortunate. And I took over the managing director role at Microsoft New Zealand just at the start of the first pandemic. So I took over on the 1st of April Fool's Day, and I had to lead my way through the most uncharted territory I could ever have imagined. My learning curve was literally like that, and I get to lead the most incredible whānau who do such incredible work with digital skilling, women in tech, working with Māori and Pacifica, just phenomenal. So, yeah, I believe I've got the best job in the world.
Absolutely. And then I guess, Microsoft does impact so many people in so many different ways, hence the diversity of what you're able to get involved with. Listen, I did read this really great article that you featured in from Reseller News, and you were giving career advice to females. And one of the things you said in there, I just wanted to pick up on. You said, that dealing with imposter syndrome, which we all deal with from time to time, nearly got the better of you. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and how you got beyond that as well?
Yeah, it was actually before starting at Microsoft, and I was having an incredible career at Spark, and I was promoted. And I felt that I was promoted far too soon, and, one of those typical female situations where I'm not sure if I'm good enough, I don't know if I've got all the skill set. And I found myself faking it till I made it, but too much so. So trying to put on a front and really not taking the help that was on offer, and just believing that more people were watching me in a sense of I needed to really put the shoulders back and know how to do this, that I just started spiraling. And I didn't actually realize I was spiraling until, sadly, my husband's father passed away. He was 92. He'd lived an incredible life, and I just could not stop crying. I just honestly, and everyone's going, yeah, he's been dying for quite a while. Like, this wasn't new news, but it just showed me that I was just close to burnout. I had just not been reaching out and gaining the help that so many were trying to offer me.
That's really incredible. And I guess, sometimes it does take something like that to happen where our resources are just completely used up before we realize that actually this is, impacting more than you think. And I think, in terms of asking for help, you're absolutely right. So often, particularly in senior roles, you think you have to do it all on your own, or you need to know all the answers. And that's just not the case.
Well, it's you're not in the zone. And I mean it in the sense of, when he got taken to hospital, and I sort of said to my boss at the time, look, I'm, be nice to me because I'm pretty fragile. And, my father-in-law's gone to hospital. He's like, and what are you doing here? Like, your priorities become the wrong way because you feel like you can't not be there. And this whole fear of missing out is even more, I think, expedited when you're in that bad zone. You just feel like you can't step out. And probably the number one thing you need to for your mental health and taking care of yourself is stepping out and taking that time to go walking. And I heard the other day, how often do we actually feel the shower on our head? Like, how present do we really get? And for me, being in that real stress zone at the time, I wasn't seeing anything of the world. I honestly, and that for me was the aha moment. Yeah, why am I here when I should be with my family? And it was the clincher to kind of, right, let's start getting yourself right. Let's start taking more self-care. And it really, it took that for me to then kind of go, right, I'm going to really, really lean in and make sure I do things to take care of myself.
And I've seen you do this quite, openly online. So you've been taking part in September, so 10,000
Yes.
steps a day. And I saw your post on LinkedIn the other day that you actually went out in the rain and felt that rain on your
Felt
face.
that rain. Yep. And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, but you've got to do it. Even this morning, I was like running for an hour on my treadmill because the weather didn't look so good. But man, you feel better. You know it when you've got to do it. You just feel so much better.
And I do think that, when you lead from the front, like you kind of have been with that, then it kind of makes it okay for everyone else, doesn't it, to take that time out to exercise or do what they need to do to manage everything that they're trying to manage during the day, including work and family and all of that.
I found that in the first lockdown, Hilary, I wasn't being the leader I wanted to be. I was working every hour given to me. I wasn't stepping out. And this time I'm taking a photo of my dog when I'm walking at 2:00 in the afternoon because I've got a break in my calendar. We had a mental health podcast session with all of our team for an hour, and I had my laptop on my treadmill and I walked for the whole hour on my treadmill. And I asked one of the questions, they could see my head bobbing up and down, and you've got to lead from the front. And yeah, I'm definitely doing a lot more of that this time around.
I love that. And in terms of building, the amazing team and organisation for Microsoft New Zealand, I just want to pick up on that because I know that, Microsoft New Zealand, they won the D&I category award at the Reseller News, which was completely amazing. So can you tell me, a bit about why that's so important to you and perhaps some tips for strategies that companies can use that you've found really effective?
In my whole career, that is the best award ever to have won. And for the reason that so many of our whānau do so much good work that none of it hits the press or LinkedIn or anywhere. And I just wished I had actually dedicated that award to Donna Wright. So Donna Wright was our marketing and operations lead who sadly passed away in February this year. And she really started the D&I movement at Microsoft near on 8 to 10 years ago. And what I've seen is that was the foundation work of really understanding where we're going to make a difference. And when I first joined Microsoft, Hilary, we were doing everything and getting nowhere. We were going to every event, speaking, and now we're really, really clear what our role is. And it is a platform to upskill and reskill others. We are about to launch 10,000 Digi Wahine to inspire 10,000 females to consider a role in tech. You're going to see so much, and I want you to be so involved in that. We do so much with accessibility, with, there's a whole range of people out there that could be working in our businesses. The work we do with Gleam, making sure that everybody can come to work being their full authentic self. And the work with Māori and Pacifica as we truly, truly want to change the dial on how many Māori and Pacifica are in tech roles. So partnering with Tupatoa, bringing in our Māori and Pacifica interns, the work we've done on Translator with Te Reo Māori and Ngā Motu with Minecraft. Honestly, it's all of those things that really create our local culture because so many of our people do so much incredible work. So my advice, just start. Pick one thing and just start.
That's amazing. So there's really a desire to increase the capability of tech outside your organisation and the impact that has on society. And then internally in your organization, there's a real focus on that as well, isn't there? I think there's a phrase kind of tech intensity that you
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
I do love that idea because it's about, digital and technology is for everyone. But maybe could you just talk to a little bit about that and why that's a priority for your business?
Well, I think, the amount of people that wouldn't even consider taking a role in tech because they don't think they're tech intensive, but they've got an iPhone. I look at lockdown and the kids of today, they're so much more savvy in terms of what we are, to be honest. So the tech intensity is about keeping ahead of the curve. I mean, we're never going to, I can't keep up with the amount of releases Microsoft do, let alone, everyone out there. But it's about always learning. It's about making sure that we're not a know-it-all culture, but a learn-it-all culture. And so the tech intensity piece is do that security course. If you fail, do it again. Like, it's about keeping the mind and the brain really connected with where this is all going. Because if we're not, our customers and our partners are going to be well ahead of us. So it's just something, as leaders, it's tricky when, this age, trying to do exams and things like that. But honestly, it is all about that learn-it-all culture. And I love it. It's got a real place for all of us. We all block out time. We let people know that we're doing our own training and investing in ourselves as much as you invest in other things. It's just so important. And I don't think many are doing it. It seems to be the priority number 10, where I'm suggesting it needs to be priority number 2.
Absolutely. It's really cool. I've always thought Microsoft's got this interesting dilemma, and I really noticed, I think it was a couple of years ago, you changed from talking about Office 365 to the future of work. And, that's kind of interesting because this challenge that Microsoft faces is they're trying to make businesses see what the future of work could be like. And, you've got, obviously Microsoft has some ideas how that could evolve, but you don't know everything, every use case and how that can evolve. So sort of an interesting spot to be in. So how do you approach selling that vision of the future when it might be quite hard for people to comprehend right now?
Well, Hillary, you throw in a pandemic, because honestly,
Digital
who would have
transformation.
thought that we all have a hybrid way of working and love Teams, but man, keeping on digitally all day is tough. But welcome to the new world of working. And I look at the next generation of worker. They're not like you and I, where it was 9 to 5 and you came to the office and you did your 8 to 9 hours and then you went home. This is now a fully hybrid life. And I think, well, I know Microsoft was ahead of that curve. I used to go up to Seattle for a briefing center visits, and Microsoft has got a home and a business of the future. And it's actually a working lab where you can see where things like Xbox is integrating into Teams and you're turning on meetings with just an eye and all that sort of thing. Well, it is. How do we make life easier for us? How do we feel connected, stay connected in a world that has put us on our backside with COVID? So if ever there's a time that it's taught us that this transformation is here to stay, it is now. And just even watching all of the new updated versions of Teams while you're on it is incredible. And so you'll see just more and more and more around the art of the possible, around how do we integrate these worlds. And you'll watch some things coming out with HoloLens and feeling like you're meeting straight in front of each other by putting a headset on. And there's so much cool stuff coming out.
That's very cool. I want to sort of a really good example of that as well as the New Zealand data centre, which is coming. How do you explain to New Zealanders what that means for them?
Oh, it's so exciting. It's actually 3 data centres. We're allowed to say that now. So we are building a massive hyperscale data centre region that is going to put us on the global stage. This is about dreaming of businesses ideating, cooking up in New Zealand and taking it to the rest of the world. It's connecting to the widest and biggest global network that you could ever imagine. And it's having data in country. The best thing about what we're building is we've got Office 365 in country. We've got all of the Azure services, and we've also got Dynamics 365 in country. Now, this is a game changer. I mean, this is honestly, people say in your career, what was that one thing that you just couldn't have imagined could have happened? And honestly, it is the investment that Microsoft is making into Aotearoa. And a lot of that is having our senior leaders come to this amazing country, see what can be possible, and honestly, just putting us and connecting us to the global stage. And it's I just can't wait to consider our taxation system in public cloud. A digital bank, having a full bank system in the public cloud. All of this will be not only possible, but is starting to be cooked up and planned now. So it's incredible. It really and truly is. You'll see more and more stories come out as we get closer for launch, and post that, so much opportunity.
And the timeline on that, I mean, it's going to take a few years to build, but do you know roughly the timeline for when people can expect that to be complete? Or
look, we're hoping sometime next year, next calendar year. So no, build is full steam ahead. And so it's incredible, actually, once you go through all of the sign-offs, which were happening many, many months before we announced. The great news about announcing so early is it's giving enterprises and public sector businesses time to plan. These things take time. And originally they were like, wow, it's going to be a bit far out. I mean, it goes just like that. I mean, look how fast it is. So for us, just planning with our customers, seeing Fonterra and BNZ and others coming out and saying that they're anchor tenants with us, it's just incredible for their businesses and what it's going to create for them.
100%, absolutely. So I want to talk now a little bit about the Microsoft Advocate sort of, I guess, program you have, but certainly it's a hashtag that I've seen yourselves use when you're posting around Microsoft, and I've even used it myself in social media posts as well. And I love that idea of businesses actually turning their customers into fans and really encouraging that. Why has that been such a big play for Microsoft?
Again, coming down to the incredible transformation of Microsoft over the last 6 years under Satya Nadella's leadership. To quote him, if you want to be cool, go work for someone else. But if you want your customers to be cool, come work for Microsoft. And he's all about the transformation of others and the storytelling and what our tech's enabling organizations to do. And that's the secret sauce. I mean, nowadays we just expect things to always work and always be on. I mean, that is our generation. And so just seeing the delight of, businesses considering the art of the possible by leveraging tech and our platforms is what we're here to do. And that for me has been the number one transformation of Microsoft. It is sharing those stories and uplifting what the businesses are doing, that we get the most goodness feeling of ever, really. And doing more and more of that.
Sort of that higher purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
That can be just so motivating and inspirational.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. It's been fantastic to have you on the show. I really appreciate it. So as we kind of finish up, maybe are there any kind of final words or calls to action you want to leave people with before we say goodbye?
Oh, look, I think if ever there's a year that has been such a disruption for so many small businesses, my heart goes out to so many people. I just want anyone listening to consider there's never the wrong time to get reskilled and upskilled. I just encourage people that would never have thought potentially of a career in tech to take some of the free certifications that we are now providing through our tools, to then consider themselves that they could go for that role. There is going to be a shortage. Borders closed, more and more transformational projects happening than ever. Now's the time. And so I truly believe that it's still an industry that people think is full of geeks and coders. Well, you and I are proof that it's not, Hilary. It's fun. It pays well. It's transformational. And I would love to hear more and more people that go, you know what, I am going to do some certification and I will then have the confidence because I'm a great, builder of information, or I know how to manage things, or I'm really good at detail. I might go for a role in tech. And I want to hear about those people. I think that's the opportunity, because this is, with our data centers and our investments, we can digitalize Aotearoa like never before. And so I just think there's so much opportunity for people. So they might be feeling down and out right now, but hey, use this time, get recertified and go for that job.
100%. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Really appreciate the chat. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Kia ora.